Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a complete tier list of all 49 brawlers within the current meta. So for these standings, it is completely based on 3v3 and more so towards the competitive meta and the power league meta, and also give or take the ranks probably around 5, because obviously I can't get it completely perfect. There's no real perfect way of going about this, and of course it is my opinion. So let me know down in the comment section below what you agree and disagree with this tier list. So also, before we get into today's video, make sure you're using the creator code in the shop. Mine would be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into today's tier list. Okay, guys, so jumping into the 49th brawler on the tier list, the worst brawler in the game. No surprises here. It is Shelly. So Shelly, again, coming at the bottom of the tier list. You know, Primo used to be down here. Now he's one of the best brawlers in the game. Maybe we'll see that with Shelly soon. I don't really know. It will probably require a big rework with Shelly to become somewhat meta, because her only purpose in the meta is to counter tanks, and she just doesn't do that nowhere near as well as other brawlers in the meta, and that's why she's pretty trash. So she's going to be the worst brawler in the game. Okay, so now moving on to number 48 in the tier list, second worst brawler in the game. It is Squeak. So Squeak right now is just absolutely terrible. Doesn't really serve any purpose in the meta whatsoever. I've not seen him in a scrim for nearly 2 months now. It's just crazy how bad he actually is. So the main reason for this one, I think, is just because basically everything about him is pretty much useless. Like, he's got such a slow reload speed. His attack just detonates really slow. His super barely hits anything. It just takes really slow to detonate. So the one thing to make Squeak a little bit viable, I think, is trying to at least make his super hit some people, because it gets no value. So yeah, Squeak is going to be one of the worst brawlers in the game. Okay, so next up at number 47 on the list, we have Bo. Bo, as everyone knows right now, is just completely trash. There's just no purpose for him in the meta. He used to be somewhat meta in Bounty, of course, with his totem. And other than Snake Prairie, I don't really see him at all in terms of ladder or anything like that. Never ever used. It's just completely and utterly useless in this meta. Okay, so next up on the list at number 46, we have Jackie. So Jackie, even though she got the trait change as well as Bull, Frank, and Primo, she just became even worse in the meta, which is really strange. And the main reason for this, I always say, is her super. So her super is just pretty much useless. You never get any value out of it, and right now you just never seen her competitive. She's just completely trash, especially since they nerfed her hardy hard hat style power as well. Makes it even squishier and just really hard to get value out of. Basically, she's just going to be feeding super to a bunch of different brawlers in the game. Okay, so next up at number 45, it really pains me to say this, but Daryl, he's in the bottom 5 in the meta. I love Daryl, one of my favorite brawlers to use, but right now he's pretty much useless inside of the meta. Of course, you can still get some cool plays in lower terms of trophies, because he can counter like control brawlers pretty well if you get the roll on them. But as I said, you just never ever see him inside of Heist and Brawl, which are normally his best game modes, and you just don't see him in a competitive meta. You're definitely in need of some love. All the other tanks have got some form of change which have helped them in the meta, and Daryl just doesn't seem to get it. Both his gadgets are pretty trash, and hopefully we will see him meta in the future again. So next up at number 44, we have Edgar. So Edgar has his small purpose in the meta for whenever I've seen him in competitive, and that's mainly to counter brawlers like Rico and Barley. There's certain maps in the game right now which Rico and Barley just completely dominant on, and Edgar just completely hard counters them. So Edgar does have some use in the meta, but other than that, I feel like it's just a bit too squishy. His super recharges really slow as well, so you gotta be really careful, of course, with Edgar, because he can just be extremely broken in the right hands as well, and with a few balance changes, he could easily be the best brawler in the game. So next up at number 43, we have Penny. So Penny, not used at all in competitive right now. I've not seen her for a very long time. There was a brief period about a month ago or so where Penny was used a fair bit on certain maps, and that was mainly because of the change in mechanic with her turret. It basically used to be able to scout bushes a lot more easier. So the main reason, again, why Penny's even going to be close to the meta is because of that turret. It's basically act as a fourth person. But yeah, just never used in competitive. Just overall mechanics just really lackluster. She's got really slow reload speed. Normal shots are just really easy to dodge, and just overall not great in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 42, we have Gale, and I can already see the comment section saying that Gale is a really underrated brawler, which I tend to agree with. He can be good at the lower end of trophies, but again, I'm trying to stick this to competitive, and he's just never seen, no matter the mode, no matter the map, he's just never seen across the board. It's just a lot of different brawlers, again, that just serve his purpose a little bit better. So for me, I'll definitely probably look at buffing his damage or his reload speed or something like that. There's just, again, other brawlers that have better supers, better gadgets. His new gadget is basically trash. It's only really good against melee type brawlers, and only really good in game modes like volleyball. So yeah, Gale is just nowhere near the top of the rankings here. Okay, so next up at number 41, we have Mr. P. So I was going to rank Mr. P a little bit higher because I saw a lot in the Latam monthly finals that they're only using a lot of Mr. P, which I was really weirded out by. I think the main reason why is that he counters Spike really well. Other than that, I don't really see a purpose for him in the meta. He's just a really squishy brawler right now. His reload speed, it really hurts. There's just a lot of aggro brawlers that are just going to take him down really easily. And his Porter doesn't really have a lot of HP as well. That gets taken down pretty quick. So yeah, I don't see Mr. P really at all. And if I was to see him, it's only really to counter that Spike pick. Okay guys, so next up at number 40, we have Carl. And I think Carl is a fairly balanced brawler in this meta, but in terms of ranking and viability in comparison to other brawlers, I just really don't see him much in the meta. Not even in gamers like Gem Grab, like Siege, inside of Brawl. I just never see Carl anymore, and I'm not really too sure why. I think there's just other brawlers that serve a better purpose than him, just like brawlers like Buzz, like El Primo, Bull, basically that kind of assassin type brawler where you can just launch onto people. There's just a lot better brawlers than him. So yeah, he's really struggling in this meta. It's kind of crazy. I never seem to see Cole like midway through the tier list. He's always one of the best ones or always one of the worst ones. So yeah, Cole just isn't great in this meta. So next up at number 39, we have Dino. And although he's one of the worst brawlers inside of this ranking, I feel like he's in a fairly decent place in the meta. The main reason for this is because he can thrive in the right setting with the right bans in Power League or inside of competitive. Like, he can dominate in the right hands as well. He's a really good alternative pick to brawlers like Barley. And as I said, on certain maps where like throwers could completely dominate, Dynamite will be winning that matchup 9 times out of 10. He's secretly underrated. He could use a little bit of love though, because sometimes with really aggro brawlers, they can just counter him a little bit too hard, and it can be hard for him to do anything. But I still feel like that Dynamite is an underrated pick. So next up at number 38, you might be surprised by this one. It is Mortis. So the main change about Mortis is of course going to be the ammo change. Whenever he respawns, he doesn't get that called snake, and that really hurts him in this meta. As time has gone on, people have just realized that there's better alternatives than Mortis, because a lot of time once you die or obviously get a golden Brawl or something like that, you're gonna have to wait so long to get that cord snake back, and it's pretty painful, and it's really hurting in the meta. It still can be quite viable if used correctly, like game modes like Bounty. I see him still used on with like Poker Double Tank. It still has some viability in the meta, but I just think overall there's better assassin brawlers right now, and as I said, just that ammo change has really hurt him in this meta. So next up at number 37, we have Lou. So Lou, again, only a brawler that's good in Hot Zone and Siege. The same really applies even with the new gadget. It hasn't really increased in viability whatsoever in the meta. It's only really used to gain control and get some zoning in Hot Zone, especially on maps that have one zone. He can be really good with that one super, and in Siege obviously to get a flawless defense. Other than that, Lou really not great in this meta. So next up at number 36, we have Jessie, and as time has gone on throughout this year, we've seen her be one of the best brawlers in the meta, and she's just been slowly getting worse and worse. And the only real map I see her used in competitive is Parallel Play. She's a really strong brawler on the map, but other than that, she's not really used. There's just other brawlers that serve her purpose well. Good example of this I can think of is Belle. Like, Belle's still got that ricochet effect, and she's just got longer range. She hits a lot harder, and just overall a much better version of Jessie. So yeah, just Jessie really struggling in this meta. The next up at number 35, we have a Colt, and again, one of his brawlers which only really viable with his gadgets. So he's only really viable in archetypes that which obviously consider a lot of longer range brawlers. So the good ones I can think of are like B. A lot of times you can pick Colt, use his gadget, break open the map, and then it allows the other brawlers to thrive. That's the only reason why he's somewhat viable. So I think it's in a balanced place, but again, it's the only reason why he's good is because of that gadget. Okay, so at number 34 in this current meta, we have 8-Bit. So 8-Bit's slowly been going down the rankings. He used to always be a top 10 brawler in the meta, but I don't really see him right now. The only game mode which I consider him being somewhat viable in is Gem Grab. I've used him a little bit in competitive recently, but other than that, even on the longer range maps, I don't think 8-Bit is really that viable. Obviously the speed reduction really did hit him in the past few nerfs, and then his damage reduction as well. Just slowly, there's just better archetypes in the game, and over a lot of times you've just got brawlers that serve a better purpose in the middle, like Belle, like Jean. They're just going to overrule him in this current meta. So now coming in at number 33, we have Rosa. She's a really balanced brawler in this meta. She definitely has her niche inside of Bounty and Gem Grab. The only really competitive map you see her in is Canal Grande, because she can easily keep control, especially in that bush with the gadget. It's just really toxic. And if Rosa connects onto you, especially with super, there's not a lot of brawlers that can really deal with her. She definitely has a decent spot in this meta, not overpowered as she once was. So yeah, Rosa pretty balanced in this meta. So next up at number 32, we have Frank. So Frank, like a few of the other tanks, did get that trait change. That gave him a little bit of love inside of the meta, but as time has gone on, people have just kind of learned how to deal with that tank trait, and it's just got a lot worse. So the main reason why Frank isn't really that high on the list is, again, it's just his mobility. It's just really easy to counter. Every single time he shoots, whether he is super or just his normal shot, he stands still, so it just makes it really easy to hit him. Even with his high HP, it's still quite an easy brawler to deal with. You only really see him in the archetypes with Poco Double Tank. You never really see Frank on his own, so yeah, he's definitely in need of a healer to make him decent. So next up at number 31, we have BRAWLERS. So I've pretty much overrated him a lot in the last meta, even though nothing's really changed since like a month ago or so. He's just not really the best place in this meta. I don't really see him too much. He is kind of usable in Power League on Heist the odd time, but again, there's just a lot of tank counters in this meta. It kind of just gets deleted a lot of the time. There is some use out of him because he has a lot of HP, but it's just not really that strong in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 30 is Ems. So you guys might be really surprised by this one. So I think there's a couple of factors as to why she's dropped so much in the meta. I don't really see her at all in competitive right now. So then big number one, I think, the reason why she drops out of the meta is because of brawlers like Sandy. Sandy has a really game-changing gadget, just completely wrecks Ems on lane and just makes her basically useless. There's other good tank counters in the meta as well, and I think probably people overrated her a little bit. And Max outside of meta as well. Max used to combine really well with Ems. You just basically used to see Ems everywhere inside of Gem Grab and Brawl, but that's not really the case in this meta. So yeah, Ems has really fallen off in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 29, we have Nani. And although Nani isn't completely the strongest in those 1v1 scenarios, she really excels in game modes like Bounty and Heist. She's still really meta inside of Bounty with that Return to Sender gadget, and then in Heist with the Teleport gadget. She's really strong on maps like Kaboom Canyon, where you can just get one super, TP into the enemy side of the map, and just deal a lot of damage. She's a really good counter to those longer range brawlers as well, so she's definitely has her niche in those game modes, and that's why she's so high up on the ranking. Okay, so next up at number 28, we have Nita. So Nita, again, a very balanced brawler inside of a meta, only really seen in game modes like maybe Heist in Power League, and then in game modes like Brawl. She can just be really good against the Poco Double Tank archetype, especially considering she's still decent against those control brawlers, and that's why she's probably like a little bit better than brawlers like Ems, who deal with Poco Double Tank really well. Just right now with the bear, with the gadget and star power, it can just be really annoying for the enemy team, especially if you just keep cycling that bear over and over again. So she's in a very balanced spot in this meta. So next up at number 27, we have Poco. So I was really unsure where to put Poco on this list. I kind of wanted to put him a little bit higher, but because he's not really the strongest brawler alone, I kind of struggled to put him high. But as I said, he's just really strong with Poco Double Tank as always. With that gadget, with the healing, he could just be such a strong brawler, and that's why I've put him still quite high on the list. Just being able to constantly, you know, get that pressure. If you've got like a Primo on your team as well, that Primo is going to be taking damage, or any kind of tank with that trait, they're going to be taking damage. They're going to be charging up your super, and you can just heal them up for the amount of damage they're taking. That's why Poco is so strong. Okay, so next up at number 26, we have BB. Nothing really much to say about BB. I just think she's fairly balanced across the board. Good in game modes like Siege to collect the bolts. Just good down the lane, especially again when paired with like a Poco. She can be really hard to deal with that gadget. I think that's the main reason why she's somewhat meta, because you can just take damage and heal up at the same time with that gadget. Really OP. So yeah, BB just decent across a lot of game modes right now. Okay, so next up at number 25, we have Brock. Bobby will probably be arguing that he should be the best brawler inside of a game, but I think he's slowly becoming meta, and you probably have underrated him for a long time. The main reason for this, as always, I would say it's because of this gadget. This gadget is just incredibly broken in its core mechanics. The fact that you can basically every single time just guarantee to hit the enemy for like 2.1k, break up a lot of walls as well. If paired with the right brawlers, Brock can be really strong. Obviously the main downfall to him, he's super squishy, and his normal shots can be really hard to hit. So most time you got to save the ammo, make sure he's shooting multiple shots at the same time to try and at least hit one of them. But yeah, it's really strong in game modes like Heist right now. Bounty, there's going to be his best game modes, and you honestly see him quite a lot in competitive. Okay, so next up at number 24 on the list, we have Max. And Max, one of the most balanced brawlers in this current meta. The main reason for this is because she has her good niche in the way the kind of compositions work. So on those longer range maps where you might see a lot of Brock and Piper, Max is still a really good counter to this because of her speed. But with the nerf to her supercharged star power, she doesn't get that speed as often as before. So it's nowhere near as toxic. You don't see her in every single composition on every single map and mode like beforehand. And you only really see it if you're predicting, as I said, like those long range brawlers or like the thrower brawlers, where that really well, the aggression brawlers are going to pair really well with Max. But best thing about it, she just synergizes with basically every single brawler in the game. That speed is just such a strong mechanic. Okay, so next up at number 23 on the list, you guys might be finally pleased to know that Leon is no longer at the bottom 10 of the rankings. So Leon, halfway through the list. The main reason for this is, of course, his new gadget. His new gadget is so strong on those defensive maps. The maps where I can think he absolutely just wrecks the enemy team on. In most maps like in Hot Zone, so like Ring of Fire, Parallel Plays, you see Leon picked so much because you can put that gadget like near the middle. You can give that visibility to your mid brawler for you as well. You're going to be able to get your super a lot easier with this gadget, and it can be really strong on defensive maps like Backyard Bowl as well. So Leon definitely has a strong foot in the meta. So next up at number 22, we have B. So B is really strong, especially when you have like a wall breaker combined with her. She can basically be used on every single game mode because of how well she counters tanks. She can essentially 1v3 at range at countering tanks. Those slows, the 3k shots, just really strong. And in this type of meta where tanks are pretty prevalent, she's really strong. So next up at number 21, we have Surge. Surge has slowly made his way down the list. There's a few reasons for this one, a couple of ones. For example, the new gadgets that came out, like Spike's new gadget, Sandy's new gadget, can just really counter his mechanic. Whenever you TP, you can't really find value, and those brawlers are really meta. So Surge slowly slipping down the rankings, but it can still be a fairly balanced brawler across the board. He's one of those brawlers where you can always kind of rely on, and you can always seem to get value out of that pick. So up next is Tick. He sees himself at number 20 on this list. Overall, Tick is just a fairly solid brawler, only really strong right now inside of Bounty. He is okay on a few Brawl maps, but other than that, not really used too much. But just overall, his presence on the map, and even when tanks are in play, just the ability to cycle his heads really quick, and his gadget as well can just make for him to be a super toxic brawler in that game mode. Okay guys, so next up at number 19 on the list, we have Sprout. Sprout is an insanely strong brawler in competitive still. He's seen a little bit less viability because of the prominent picks like Primo and quite a lot of like Buzz and Poker Double Tank variants. So gotta be kind of careful with Sprout because it can be easily countered by those aggro brawlers. But in the right hands, Sprout can just still absolutely dominate. He's so strong on game modes like Siege, Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, and especially against those squishier brawlers like the tank counter. Sprout just absolutely destroys. In the right hands, as I said, you've probably seen me make some amazing plays with Sprout in the past to competitive as well. You just see how good of a brawler he is. So next up at number 18, we have Piper. So Piper has slowly returned to the meta ever since Max has been nerfed. Just Piper really used to struggle when Max was in play because basically Max was just everywhere. You just used to use Max super and Piper was useless. So Piper really strong in games like Gem Grab, Heist right now on those long range maps like Kaboom Canyon, Safe Zone. Piper is just everywhere, especially with that gadget. It's so easy to confirm a kill with her. Then there's long range maps as well like Backyard Bowl. Just pretty much if the map is long range map, Piper is going to be really strong on, and she counters a lot of the other long range brawlers. I think the only long range brawler that she doesn't get counter, well, she doesn't counter is that Nanny pick. You know, she's a really strong pick against Belle, who's obviously strong right now, Byron, all of those other long-range brawlers, she's going to destroy. Okay, so next up at number 17, we have Pam. So I'm not entirely sure whether I've overrated her a little bit, but I'm slowly starting to see her being used in scrims a lot. And in competitive, in certain regions, Pam was used a lot. Like every single combination I saw Pam used in. And again, this is mainly because of her gadget. Her gadget is extremely toxic against those melee brawlers and against brawlers with really slow reload speeds. You're going to be winning so many 1v1 interactions just because of that gadget. And she might have been slept on throughout the meta for a long time, and this gadget has given her the love that is needed. So she's going to be really strong on gamers like Gem Grab, just on those longer range maps as well, making use of that gadget. So yeah, Pam slowly returning to the meta. Okay, so next up at number 16 on this list, we have Griff, and another brawler I might be overrating just a little bit, or maybe even underrated. I feel like a lot of people are definitely sleeping on the Griff. His normal shot sometimes is a little bit lackluster because of how slow it actually releases, but his super and gadget, they're just both insanely broken. And again, especially against those tankier brawlers, that super is just going to absolutely shred them. The fact that you can cycle multiple supers over and over again, the damage that you can deal with it is insane. I've been seeing Griff used so much on scrims, especially because of that. I think the main reason actually is because of that gadget. You can break open so much of the map, pair it with like a B, for example, and it's just going to dominate. So yeah, Griff, I think he's been slept on in this meta. Okay guys, so next up at number 15, we have Amber, and I don't think she's one of those brawlers which is used like all the time within competitive, but she's just a really strong brawler no matter the circumstances. Like, if you're in doubt, sometimes you could just pick an Amber and you know you're going to have a decent job on the lane. I think the most important map to use that on is maps like Double Swoosh, where you can use her super to break up the grass. But yeah, just overall, Amber's just a super strong brawler, and I think always will be, as long as she just doesn't get killed in terms of damage, just because of the auto-aim mechanic. Like, the second you lock onto someone, you just know near enough 9 times out of 10 they're going to die because they can't dodge those shots. The auto-aim mechanic is just too strong with this brawler. Next up at number 14, we have Ruffs. So Ruffs is one of the best brawlers inside of Bounty right now, and just overall really strong on gamers like Hot Zone as well, Gem Grab, Brawl. You can always have a decent time with Ruffs. So again, there's another strong reason why he's meta. It's because of that gadget. That gadget is so strong against those single shot brawlers. A lot of these brawlers are quite meta right now. So like Jean, like Stu, for example, the sandbags are going to really help you in those 1v1 engagements. And then you can just easily just give your power up to one of the carry brawlers, and they're just going to carry even harder because that upgrade is just so vital in winning the game. If you can get your upgrade to 2 out of 3 members of your team, you just know you're going to dominate. So just stay alive with those upgrades, you're going to be having a good time, especially in game modes like Bounty as well. If you use the heal star power and just play really defensive, it's just so hard to counter a Ruffs. Okay, so next up at number 13 on the list, we have Colette, and you can definitely put her down like 5 or so rankings. I wasn't too sure where to really place her, but I'll put her at number 13 because of how strong she is in game modes like Heist. She just completely wrecks tanks as well, the best tank counter inside of the game right now, and we just know how annoying Primo is in this meta, and brawlers like Buzz as well. So if you're kind of scared of those tanks, you just keep facing them. You can bring out a Colette definitely to deal with them. But yeah, that's going to be Colette. She's going to be the 13th strongest brawler in this meta. So next up, coming in at number 12, we have Tara. So Tara's still kind of dominating the meta at the moment. Those pets are just so annoying to those single shot brawlers. It allows you to essentially win your lane from the get-go. Just press your gadget. Those pets are going to run up, waste a lot of ammo, except for brawlers that can just deal splash damage, which aren't really a lot, except for like Sandy, really. That's meta. You're going to have a good time with Tara, and she's going to be especially good on game modes like Gem Grab, like Brawl. She's just a really strong lane. Obviously, if you get that super, you can just basically change the map. But yeah, that gadget is going to be the main reason why she is so strong. Okay, guys, so next up on the list at number 11, we have Barley. So Barley is still super strong inside of this meta. The main reason for this, if you pick him on the right map and mode and against the right composition, this brawler can absolutely dominate. He's got a really good kit as well. By this I mean both star powers are definitely viable, both gadgets are really viable as well. You've got a slow gadget to deal with tanks, you got the heal just to obviously help your lanes win their matchup really easily. That heal is going to be really crucial to win your lanes. Yeah, Barley's going to be super strong, especially on gamers like Siege, especially on certain maps inside of Brawl, where it's like a very spawn trapping map. He can counter a lot of those meta brawlers like Spike, for example. It's just a super strong pick. Okay, guys, so now moving into the top 10 of the meta. Starting off at number 10, we have Byron. So Byron is getting a lot of love in competitive right now. I'm seeing him used so much. I think everyone was basically underrating Byron a lot, and now he's starting to be one of the most picked brawlers, especially in regions like China and East Asia. I think I've seen a lot of Byron as well, and in terms of my scrims, I've been seeing him pretty much everywhere. So Byron's just really good overall. I think just because obviously the heal mechanic, the splash, it really helps to finish off those brawlers below like 2k HP. And again, there's not really a lot of max in this meta. That used to be the main reason why he wasn't so strong, because he'd just get completely countered by those really super aggro compositions with max and all that speed. But yeah, Byron, I think he's a super underrated brawler in this meta. Alright guys, next up at number 9, we have Buzz, and Buzz is so incredibly strong in this meta. Finally, people are starting to realize how strong he is and starting to get to grasp how to get the most value out of his super. So obviously the main reason why he's so strong. It's because of that stun, especially if you hit it at a long range. It's just super toxic. Not a lot of brawlers can really counter his stun, and even if they manage to kill Buzz, your teammates can just easily clean it up. He's pretty much good on every single game mode right now because of his gadget and because of his extra range star power as well, being able to charge that super up so fast. Buzz is so strong in this meta. Okay, so next up at number 8, we have Spike. I felt like Spike was being slept on in the meta previously, but now with its new gadget, he's just so strong. He's used so much in a lot of different game modes right now. Brawl, Gem Grab, Siege. I think the only game mode he's not really used on too much is Bounty. But yeah, even on the longer range maps like Backyard Bowl, he's making a comeback with his curveball star power. That star power has always been super strong, and that gadget just allows him to be a lot less squishier. It allows him to tank those single shot brawlers really well. Brawlers like Stu, Surge, he's going to counter really strong, and even the brawlers that can pierce through him, like that extra 1000 healing might not sound a lot, but for a brawler like Spike, his main downfall was always that he was super squishy and really easy to take down. Okay, so next up on the list at number 7, we have Crow. Crow's still incredibly strong inside of his meta, especially on the longer range maps. I always say it, maps like Backyard Bowl, Bot Drop with that slow gadget. You probably heard it 100 times, but it's still not been nerfed, and it's just such an insane mechanic. It's just so toxic. You can slow people for 5 seconds, make it so easy to get the kill, and his anti-healing mechanic is so strong against Poker Double Tank, against Byrons. It can counter them really hard, and it's just near enough impossible to push a Crow down the lane because he could just keep his range so easily. The second you're going to be able to push him, it's just going to slow you. So a really strong brawler in this meta. Alright guys, so now moving into the top 6 brawlers in the meta. Starting off at number 6, we have Gene. Honestly, you could put him pretty much anywhere from number 3 to number 6, but I thought I'd put him at number 6 just mainly because the other brawlers probably have just better gadgets overall. But Gene, you guys know what's up with Gene. He's basically uncounterable in this meta. It's just such a strong brawler to have in the mid, or even sometimes use lane, as you've probably seen in a few competitive videos or tournaments. Right now, you can see a lot of Gene being used in lane, but just the mechanic of his Magic Puff's star power, just being able to group up with teammates, give them that 400 healing per second whilst they're taking damage as well. It's just super broken. That super can also just take down so many different brawlers. He does a lot of damage as well. There's a lot of brawlers that he can just walk up to and just free shot them. So yeah, Gene just incredibly strong in this meta. Okay guys, so next up as the 5th best brawler currently inside of Brawl Stars, it is El Primo. El Primo is super strong in this meta. You guys probably know by now. Every single ranking video I've done in the past 2 months, he's been at least top 5, if not one of the best brawlers inside of the game. He's slowly gone down a little bit just because there's new mechanics in the game, just like that Sandy stun that can help counter him. But just overall, if you pair him with any type of healer, he's going to be super strong. He's going to be taking damage whilst healing up and eventually get his super. And once he gets that first super, he just absolutely dominates the field. He's just going to be chaining supers over and over again. Every single game mode right now, every map, you could honestly use Primo. Probably except for Shooting Star. Probably won't recommend that one. But yeah, every single mode and map, he's going to be viable. Once you get that first super, just make sure you're chaining them really well, and you're going to be able to counter near enough every single brawler in the game. So next up, coming in as the 4th best brawler currently inside of Brawl Stars, we have Sandy. Sandy's new gadget is just game breaking, guys. You think it wouldn't be as game breaking when you first see the gadget. You just think it's like Dynamite's, right? But you got to remember, Sandy's just shot mechanic, being able to hit it so easily, it's just such a good thing to have. It's just so broken. That gadget definitely in need of a nerf. So basically with Sandy, Sandy's super used to be the best thing about him before. That got nerfed. You didn't really see him too much in the meta once he got nerfed, but that new gadget, you can easily confirm a kill on every single brawler in the game near enough. You just stun a brawler, wait for the stun to expire. You're going to be able to heal, well, not heal up. You're going to be able to get your ammo back. Your teammates are going to be able to pinch with against that brawler as well. And even a tanks used to destroy Sandy, but brawlers like Mortis, for example, if a Mortis dashes on you, you can just stun them, run away, run towards a teammate, and find safety. So everything about this gadget is just crazy right now. Sandy, near enough, is uncounterable in this meta. Okay, guys, so next up, as the 3rd best brawler in this meta, we have my boy Rico. It feels so nice to actually say that he's one of the best brawlers inside of the game. That new gadget has just completely broken it. It's just insane the amount of healing you can get down the lane on a map which he's already strong on. with that gadget, he's going to be able to near enough 1v3. A good Rico can just absolutely destroy the enemy team. He's going to be good against control brawlers, really strong against tank brawlers. He was already one of the main reasons why he was like meta on some maps before this gadget, was because he could just absolutely destroy tanks. But yeah, he's so strong in the right hands. I probably would have put him like 4th next to Sandy as well, but I just think with those gadgets, you can't kill him. Even those throw brawlers like the Sprouts, I used to 3-shot him. You could just walk up to them, pop a gadget, obviously shoot it close to a wall, and sometimes you can heal up to like 8k HP. He's absolutely insane in this meta. Alright guys, so moving into the second best brawler in the game right now. I don't think there's any surprises for number 2 and 1. We have Belle at number 2. So Belle has not been nerfed ever since her release. She's been just not, well, yeah, I would say pretty much broken inside of the meta. Just how strong she is, just a bouncing mechanic, being able to do a lot of damage up close. She has same range as Piper, and just still being able to consistently output a bunch of damage. You're able to unload it really quick. A lot of times you can just shotgun with Belle, even though she has just such insane range. Everything about her is so strong. Her super is going to be really good against tanks, and it's going to be hard when Belle is in play to kind of go like that poker double tank, because a lot of times she can 1v3 because of her super and just a bounce mechanic. It's just super strong. Those long range maps she's going to do really well on, and in game modes like Siege as well, you can mark the boss with your super and you're going to get like a flawless defense every single time. I just think everything about Belle, her gadget as well, super strong. If you place it in the middle and like jam grab, they're going to have to eventually go into those traps and more than likely get taken down. Belle is just crazy OP right now. Okay guys, so moving into the best brawler currently inside of Brawl Stars. No surprises here whatsoever. If you didn't guess this, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because Stu, he's been such a strong brawler ever since release, and then with this gadget, it's completely broken him. Everything about him, he's near enough untouchable. So he used to be countered by the likes of Ruffs with sandbags, like Tara's Pets, for example. It used to be really hard counter, but with that new gadget, honestly, even those gadgets don't really counter him too much, because the wall break ability, you actually deal damage as well once you burst through a wall, and a lot of times you can deal like up to like 2.5k damage. Just break through those pets, break through those sandbags, and just kill the enemy. He's near enough, as I said, uncounterable. Gaz the heal, he's gonna be healing up as you're actually running into enemies. You're going to be able to change supers really easily. Everything about him is just crazy broken. There's nothing more to really say. He's the best brawler in the game, and by a long stretch. Alright guys, this is going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the tier list. It took me a long time to make, and that's why I kept off-putting it, because it takes a long time to get the gameplay, a lot of time to consider where to put certain brawlers on the list, and it just takes a long time to get the commentary right, script it, do everything else like that. So I'd really appreciate you guys commenting down below what you think of the tier list. Give it a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and let me know down in the comment section below what other like tier list ranking videos you want me to do before the next update. I really enjoy doing this type of videos, and you guys seem to love it too. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.